All right, guys, we're back. This is episode 6. We've made it this far of In Focus podcast. I don't know. I'm still sticking with that title. I don't
How'd you come up with that name?
You know, well, the reason you're not supposed to talk until I introduce you. I'm just kidding. I'm pulling a Bobby Lee. I'm just kidding. But
Yes.
the reason I came up with that name because I'm like, this is about business. What is RP3 Productions really about? It's about videography and business. So I thought, what would be cool? It's a double entendre.
Got
It's like
more meanings than
in
one.
focus. Like it's in focus because we're videographers, and it's in focus because we're getting in focus with what people do for a living, how they got here, entrepreneurs. So, you know, we're focusing down to that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I came up with it. I don't know. We could change it still. We're still new. Maybe not at our 300th episode, but you know, maybe right now. You like this? How I hold this? So anyways, it's episode 6. And I have a childhood.
That's a good one.
Childhood friend here. Okay. And I can rattle off a lot of things about him. Artist. First and foremost. I'm gonna name you off how
remember we were in high school. We had that graphic arts class together, Mr. Farnsworth.
Mr. Farnsworth.
And oh man, he had it out for you or something.
He did, That guy hated
Hopefully
me.
he's still around.
I did run into him. He was nicer to me after high school, and he would he'll always say, like, I would always tell him, this sucks. He'd be like, sucks what, Robert? I'm like, oh, I don't know. He's one of those guys that would put you in a bad spot, you know? So, you know, I would say Edward is an artist. He's a great guy. I've known him since 7th grade.
Yeah.
The only person in our neighborhood by Oakley School that had The Sims.
The video game? The PC game?
Yeah. Dang.
That was a big deal.
Back in the late 90s, dude. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now if you play The Sims, you know, who knows? But back then,
Dude, that game was so addicting back then.
The Sims was hot.
It was bad.
And, you know, I've seen you, you know, come through a lot of different points in your life. You know, we went to high school together. Obviously, you've always been like a great student, I would assume, right? You always are a good student. B's, but yeah. you could have done better. B's is you not trying.
B's, yeah.
Yeah, B's is like, I guess I'll go to school. That was like F's for me.
Oh.
But, you know, the cool thing about you, oh, by the way, this is Edward Tomoloso.
Thanks. Yeah.
Fisherman.
Yeah, a lot of
YouTuber.
stuff.
And a hustler. Entrepreneur. Crazy. But going back to your life and, you know, obviously knew you in junior high, had classes with you, only art classes with you in high school because I wasn't smart enough to be in the other classes with you, like English and all that shit, or like those other types of maths other than division and adding and subtracting.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like just
I wasn't in algebra.
I mean, I couldn't even like
do it
focus
now.
in on that, and I mean, I don't even nobody uses that stuff anymore.
No.
Nobody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, we have Chat GPT now, right?
Yeah.
And calculators. So, you know, I went to junior high with you, and you're Filipino. I'm Mexican, and you still beat me when it came to drawing a picture of Cesar Chavez.
Oh, dang.
Dude, they made such a big deal about that. That shit got me so mad. I mean, obviously, yours was a lot better, but like growing up my whole life, I was the artist.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Robert could draw, this and that. And so whenever this project came up that we're going to do Cesar Chavez, I'm like, come on, dog. I got this in the bag.
Yeah.
A Filipino beat me. But he fought for you guys too.
Amen.
He did, right?
My dad actually. That's when he moved here. He was a seasonal worker.
Yeah.
Like,
so he, I mean, we think of Mexicans, but he fought for all. And Asian Filipinos were big in the fields, especially back in the 80s and 70s and all that. So, you know, but either way, I was like, fuck that guy. But
our cultures are so intertwined.
Yeah, they're
and
like
then,
the same, basically.
We feel the same like about certain things for sure. So, yeah.
So there's
feel
that.
So bad.
We know. Went to high school together. After high school, you know, like typical, lost, especially because back then social media wasn't so strong, lost track of each other. And then I was working at Saturn of Santa Maria, where Kia is now. And I remember I seen you walking by because you were walking home from work, and you know, I just like caught up with you. And then I feel like after a few times, I would see you all the time. You always kind of stop by and say what's up. And you were working at Red Lobster at the time, and you were talking about how you're a server and you were meeting so many different people, and you even told me that you went on a freaking Hawaii vacation.
Oh yeah, that was at a like turning point in itself. But it was like I got into like this really deep like personal development kick.
Yeah,
like
before it was
like,
a thing, huh?
Yeah. And all I wanted to do was improve and all that stuff. But like I really firmly believe that like you can resonate with people that are on that same path.
Yeah.
So it seemed like when we ran into each other again, like being in the car business, being in sales, you had to learn how to get like this certain mentality, and you had to be real positive, and that was really cool to see that again. But yeah, it's funny how our lives kind of continued to intertwine, over like a couple decades now, almost,
yeah, and then
over 2 decades.
Yeah, it's been a long time, dude. I mean, it's weird to say because I feel like I'm 25.
Yeah,
well, we're not that far off from 25, but
20 years seems like such a big number.
Yeah, like it doesn't even. Yeah, it's weird to say that I know somebody that long because I'm like, really, 20 years? But it's just gone by so fast. But so I feel like I've seen you go through, especially out of high school, go through a lot of different changes in your life, and it's like you've always like recreated yourself and evolved into something different. I used to see you there, and then after that, you started really like getting into like, well, what do you do? Or, you seem like you're really interested in car sales. And then, I told you to go work at Honda.
Yeah.
Fabian or anybody was listening to this, I recommended him to go to Honda. I said he'd be great fit there. You'd get trained there.
Yeah.
And then you did. And then, which kind of brings us to this, because you were working there. I was working at Toyota, and you created Your Honda Man YouTube channel. You were killing it on there.
Yeah.
And then you told me, dude, you should be doing this for Toyota. Why aren't you doing this for Toyota? Which that got me into making videos.
Yeah. Like we should tell the audience like how that happened and how kind of like primitive we were.
Yeah.
Because like you guys, whoever's watching this now knows you as like, you got your drone, you got like these amazing cameras, you got like the high-tech editing software, you got everything. But like back then, 2011, 2012, we were just filming on like little handheld flip, like
a little like camcorder looking type things.
Yeah. And then the audio that you captured, we talked about this a lot, is like from your headphones, from your iPhone.
Yeah, we would like peek it out.
Yeah.
And then it was plugged into your phone though, because we had an app that recorded the audio.
Yeah. We had to sync it up all weird. So yeah, not to get too technical about that, but it's really cool to see like how far you've come in like this amount of time. But it's just testament. But yeah, that was how this all started, kind of like
basically. I never thought of making videos. It wasn't even a thought on my mind. And then I just obviously I saw you doing it, and then you invited me along to a couple of your shoots, which is people don't realize like you're making these videos and you're standing in the middle of a park, but there's people walking by, dude, and you're standing in front of a tripod, in front of a car, and I remember because I would see you do it, so now I was like, well, that's how he does it. He goes to a park, and people are like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
People are like, this guy's a weirdo, like, especially back then. And also, I remember you used to vlog.
Yeah.
Remember that? You'd be in a grocery store.
Oh, yeah. Oh, grocery store.
I feel like one time you were like...
Can't remember that one. Maybe I was live or something.
But you're like live or vlogging, you're like... And it was just like... So it's kind of cool. You definitely inspired me to do what I'm doing now, and I made like I support my family, and I make a living from this, and I'm able to have people that are on my team, all from you telling me I should make videos for Toyota.
Yeah. And you know what it was too, is just like I like we talk about it too, is just like the whole leverage of it. Like for those who own a business, like the way I looked at it when I got into the car business is it gets to be my own business, like this is, I'm in partnership with Honda of Santa Maria, and I just happen to have all their inventory that I'm able to sell out of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to be able to create that leverage, is what I call it, because like you're putting out this content that people can watch 24 hours a day, but you as a person face to face, you only have a limited amount of time to work.
Yeah.
If you're not in front of a customer, you're not selling a car, you're not creating anything.
Yeah.
But if your video's out there and people are able to click on it, watch it, even maybe while you're sleeping, you're still presenting, and that's what it was all about. It's always just trying to present as much as possible, but it just continued to grow.
You wouldn't be able to do that many presentations at that they watched
No,
in your lifetime, probably.
no. Yeah, there's
Because it worked for you.
Yeah, it was like 18 million views on the Honda channel last I checked, and that was a couple years ago.
That's crazy.
But people are still looking at those videos, and they're like trying to buy a used car now. They're like, oh, you know what? Somebody has a 2015 Honda Accord for sale.
Yeah.
Hop on YouTube real quick and see who's done a review on them, and you'll probably find one of my old videos back when I had hair and
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you did such a good job with it that actually you did stuff with Honda corporate.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's funny.
You're a part of the training system, right?
Yeah, part of the training system. So they did like this whole competition on who can do a walk around with the Honda CRV, and they brought people from all over the nation, like Louisiana and all that other stuff. Long story short, I came in second place for that one.
Nice.
And then they did it again. And to get into the contest, you had to submit like a 5-minute video. So I shot one of those, submitted it, and they've seen me from the previous competition. So I kind of got into the next Accord one. But the video submission that I did was really good.
Yeah.
Super creative. But then, I ended up winning that one. And the prize was, I don't even know how that was a prize. Like, oh, now you get to be in the trainings.
Yeah. Here's more work.
Yeah, here's more work. So
Yeah.
they sent me down to LA, and I was able to go with my now wife, and got to film the training video. So it was funny coming back to Honda Santa Maria. All the sales guys had to take the test, and they're like, "Dude, it's you."
Dude, I know. I remember seeing that. It's so freaking crazy. So before we go too far into, what you're doing now and what you've done, I mean, obviously I've known you since 7th grade, but it's like, where were you born and raised? Were you born and raised here in Santa Maria?
Yeah, born and raised here.
When did you realize that you were basically you're an artist? I mean, I know you fish now and you do, but it's still a form of artistry because you might know more about how fishing can be an art, but even you make YouTube videos about it, which is an art. And the way you do it, you have a certain style, the way you do it. So when do you remember, or did your parents ever tell you, or like who? Because for me personally, my mom would always be like, oh, gas me up about, it probably sucked, but she'd always make me feel like I was so good at art,
Yeah.
So when was your first time remembering that art was your thing? Because you were drawing first, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, he used to always sketch.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'd be all about the sketches. Even back then, my dad used to take me fishing long, maybe 5-6 years old. He would go out, and to get an extra limit, he would bring me to. But I would pick up and learn.
Of course, yeah.
And then, but I would always see him I would ask him to draw me stuff.
Yeah.
I'd watch him draw a shark, and I'd try to replicate that.
Yeah.
And then I used to love watching him draw horses.
Okay.
And he would do that with just pencil paper.
That's sick.
Yeah, and then I would totally try to do that too. But if you're into it and you do it, then you start to learn about anatomy and I'm getting how things are supposed to look when they're in 2D.
Yeah.
So that's
how the legs are supposed to go, and to make it look like they're the right length. There's a lot of little things that you have to think about.
Yeah, proportions, all
proportions.
of that stuff. Yeah. And then for some reason, in it was elementary school. I don't know why, but I really wanted to get an audio recorder, and then I would I don't know, just tell stories or talk to friends and just record funny stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's just something in me that's okay, I want to save things for later.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it was, but I just liked the ability to capture something that happened and then be able to replay it. And this is before phones and all that stuff, so it was just things
90s.
like that. Yeah, and then I picked up my first digital camera, I don't know, 6th grade, 7th grade, and it was on special at Big Five for some reason. And it was on a little coupon cutter that you bring in, and it was just super basic. But I just like the idea of capturing things, and I guess to go deeper is I don't know how that came up, but I just like the idea of legacy, and you can look back on things a whole catalog of work that you've done, and that stuff's the things that I really like. Yeah.
And it's always cool because it's just good to relive memories.
Yeah.
But that's legit. So yeah, by the time I met you in 7th grade, already by that time, I mean, you're a good artist. I mean, like I said, the school made a big old. Were you in the paper about it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of
You got a little publicity out of it?
yeah, there's a little bit of a reward for it for sure.
Right?
Yeah. It was literally Cesar Chavez, and then like the field, and then like people holding signs saying "Viva la Causa."
Yeah.
and it was just it
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on my kitchen table working on that.
On that thing, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty
There's like
legit.
hands holding like something too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's so. I would say a lot of people do things, but how? Because I've been with you through your life, but like, how do you always turn something that you do into something that gets recognized? Because I feel like a lot of the things you've done, you've always been recognized for it, and you're not like a person that's a cocky person or you're not a look at me kind of a guy.
Yeah, that's
But
the weird part.
You get recognized. Is it because you put so much pride into it, or is it because you're just a different thinker and you think of things differently? And maybe that's it. But I feel like you do get recognized for a lot of the things you do.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of like outputs. There's a lot of projects that fell flat.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many projects that like every now and then a good one comes out, or like the repetition is the mother of all learning. It's something that I've like really like got it burned into me, because like there's a trainer here. There was a trainer at Honda who used to come and he used to go again, do it again, do it again, do it again. But I mean, maybe I'm just that type of person where like if I draw something once, I feel like I can do it again and again, and I'll draw the same thing over and over, like hundreds of times back when I was a kid, But now, I mean, I really feel like the more you do something, the better you get. I firmly believe that quantity oftentimes equals quality, because you do it so much, you get better at it.
I wish I had like a little thing where I can like this guy just dropped a bomb right now.
Bing.
That's a good idea.
But there was they did do a study, right? Like they took a pottery class. I forgot who held the study, but they basically split the class into two. There's A and B. And all the people, and the whole goal was to come up with the best piece of pottery that you could possibly get.
Yeah.
So Team A's assignment was to make as many pots as possible.
Yeah.
Team B's assignment was to make the one best that they could possibly ever make.
Yeah.
And at the end of the experiment, the best pot actually came from Team A, who made the most pottery.
Yeah.
Because they did it repetitiously over and over and over and over.
And just like improved on it probably.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like you said, like being recognized, like that's like being prepared, right? Like I was prepared for that competition to come.
Yeah.
I've done so many videos that like when this competition came, it was an unfair advantage for everybody else by then, because not everyone has put in the reps.
Yeah.
Not everyone had like that, 100 videos under their belt before that competition even opened up.
Yeah. It was probably the first time where somebody at a dealership's like, oh, you're good at walk arounds. But you already had been doing it.
Yeah. So it's their first time on camera maybe. And then,
and you get, people get intimidated when they get on camera.
Yeah. So maybe it's the same with that whole, like back in the day when we did that drawing competition with a Cesar Chavez little painting.
Little I know your room was full of Cesar Chavez drawings. I'm all pissed off. It was my first time ever drawing him. He doesn't even look like him. He just has fucking 45 Cesar Chavez drawings in his room.
All on the ceiling.
Yeah, his dad's telling him about how Cesar Chavez used to help them out. He's like just drawing Cesar Chavez. Like life prepared you for that day. And my dad never told me anything about Cesar Chavez. Wow.
But yeah, so definitely repetition is the mother of all skill.
Yeah.
And but yeah, there's a lot of like fails, like, or things that you create and it's kind of more for yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make it.
Especially I think with drawing, because I mean I had a book, a sketch, like I had a nice sketchbook, but there's a lot of, I didn't show it to anybody. Like if you were at my house and you got my book and you could thumb through it, but there's a lot of like, especially with drawing, there's a lot of stuff that you just do it because you're bored. Like that's why I drew. Mm-hmm. I drew it because I was bored, and then also it is rewarding, to see like, that's what I always liked about drawing, is that you just had a paper and a pencil, and you had nothing.
Yeah,
and then obviously sometimes you spend weeks
super focused
or an hour, and you'd have to be like in the zone. and then it'd be kind of cool to look at what you drew, like out of nothing, you know, from the thoughts in your mind, or sometimes you take inspiration from other stuff. And I feel like, especially when we're growing up, we didn't really have the internet, so a lot of stuff, if you were gonna copy something, you would just copy it off of a book or a magazine or a, you know, for me, for instance, like I had family members that were in prison a lot. They would write to me, like cousins, and they knew how to draw, or they had friends that knew how to draw. So I would get letters sent from them with like badass drawings on the envelopes,
sickest artwork,
like,
sickest
badass. And then like in the inside too would be like lettering. They would write like, yeah, the letterings are like old English, you know, or like that, you know, it's basically like calligraphy, you know, written, and then all around the page would just be like a collage of like different, like it was. So I would literally take that stuff and freaking just like what you did with your dad. Yeah. I would just try to copy it. You know, all their stuff was obviously like Aztecs and, you know, skulls and this and that. It was badass stuff. And I still have that stuff at my mom's house. But that's basically how I kind of learned. I just copied their shit. So yeah. I was, you know, 6 years old drawing freaking prison bars.
Over and over and over and over. But it's cool, like, how all that stuff.
Smile,
like,
not cry later.
Yeah, how it translates, you know, like, into later on. But, that just took me on a tangent. Like, remember, like, OCS, Santa Maria High? Yep. Like, some of those desks in there, it's like on-campus detention, and you're looking at all this artwork on the desks.
It's like, dude, a bunch of gangster stuff. Yeah. A lot more tagging, probably.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so I mean, I like to go to, you know, the YouTube channel, because I mean that's like the Honda, you know, channel that you created. That's like a pretty big feat. I feel like so many people talk about, I'm gonna create a YouTube channel, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make videos, I'm gonna vlog, I'm gonna whatever, I'm gonna do a podcast, right? But it takes so much time. It goes so long with no reward. And when you first started and you made your first video, where did you think it was going to take you? Did you think you were going to be where you got?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to like that whole leverage thing. So like uploading the first videos were really more in sales, like you want to stand out, right? So like I wanted to make these videos to send to customers. Yeah. Right? Like, a customer came by and they only had like 15 minutes to spend, so we couldn't do the whole presentation together. So it's like, all right, we'll run out there and show them the things that they weren't able to spend the time to see. So just upload those like personal videos. Hey, you know, hey John, like here's the a more closer look at what you were looking at but didn't have time to see.
Yeah,
like
and that kind of stuff. They got that from you. They're like, oh, no one else did that.
Yeah, exactly. Or
apart from this guy, when I can, or if
And I think I moved into internet sales here. I think it was like 2012, 2013. So basically, what happens? Somebody's shopping online. They see a car. They'll send questions via email. Yeah, and you can answer those questions by typing back, or you can run out there with your camera and say, hey, this is the car, and, you know, those type of things. And then that went a long way because people, you know, we've had customers drive from Bakersfield, Fresno, all those places to come buy a car here, like a used car that they saw online, but they got a video from a sales guy and came in.
You're doing them all the time.
Yeah.
You're doing test drives. Remember you used to like take a car on the freeway and just like talk through it. And you were doing a lot. Now, more that I think about it too, you're doing a lot of cool shit. And the cool thing is the store supported you because they built you out a computer.
Big time. Back in 2014.
They built, remember they built you like this badass PC?
Honda of Santa Maria dropped some coin for sure on a like water cooled like back in 2014, 16 gigabytes of RAM was like, dang, you can edit a lot. And man, that computer like took me all the way to like 2021 where I finished working here at the store. And man, they totally invested in me. Like that's something that I'll never forget is Fabian and the company just really invested in the ownership group too. So I mean, I have nothing but great things to say about them and seeing the vision. Yeah. And then I mean, now that still doesn't happen often.
No.
But again, it was like that whole leverage thing is just like the internet doesn't sleep.
No, heck no. There's somebody watching it somewhere. Like this, some, people are gonna be watching this at a bunch of different times, and even when we're not even thinking about it, they're gonna be watching this video or listening to the podcast. And that's one thing I learned from you is you'd always tell me that. It's like, dude, you could be like, someone could be like watching you and you could be asleep. Someone could be like in China watching your video and you could be like asleep, you're just like everywhere. Like you would always tell me the internet doesn't sleep. So I always thought that was like super cool. And it made me feel kind of cool too. Like, hey, I'm like, there's a digital version of me out there working.
It's like a clone. It's like, while you're talking, it's everything that we're talking about right now. It's just like, it's the ultimate leverage.
Yeah.
You're always in front of somebody. Yeah. Even when you're not in front of somebody, you're in front of somebody. So that's kind of where it led. And then, I guess when I started, but what's beautiful is like that whole journey of 1,000 steps. You just take that one step, you start. And then like the beautiful thing about like YouTube and, just digital presence is you get to see the feedback.
Yeah.
Like it might take a few days, but then you can like start looking at the analytics and seeing what it's doing. And then you could take whatever you learn from that one and turn around and apply it to the very next thing, the very next day, so that learning curve, it could be as steep as you want it to be.
Yeah. You can just like make it granular, right? I mean, and just be like, hey, this is like, like obviously I had you look at my YouTube channel right now and some of my videos and you're like, thumbnails. So, I'm always, but I kind of already knew, but there's a lot of things I could take from. And I listened to, the last podcast I did was almost 2 hours long. I've probably listened to it like 4 times.
Dude, it was amazing.
Because I just want to know, like, what could I have done better? And, should I ask more deeper questions? And, it was my cousin and, he's probably listening to this, but I do like he can go on tangents, dude. So it's kind of hard, but I feel like it came out great. But I'm just trying to get better and learn. And even like, what does the audio sound like? How could I set up cameras better? I did think about putting this behind here.
Yeah, we just put this.
And I didn't.
Right,
and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then you came in
a little more visual
with your eye. Like, who got to put a plant?
Ficus.
It is nice. Yeah. And we got it for free too, because we had a company shoot a video up here and they're like, we need plants. So I bought plants and then they reimbursed me for it. And they never picked them up. So
guys. So anybody who's watching and listening, like over time, you'll continue to see, which leads me to this is like the whole character development thing, man. Yeah. Like, since we've known each other for so long, like we've seen each other grow and evolve and we've at the core kind of stayed who we are. But at the same time, like all these new tools came and now we're getting to use them and learn. Like we were talking about like Chat GPT for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And how you utilize that a lot.
Yeah,
so
we use it all the time.
A little bit of your secret sauce out there now is.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to not use it. It's like, we're content creators, it'd be different if I was like using Chat GPT to make videos and I was like selling it, I think it'd be kind of different, but it's like, I'm not a writer.
Yeah. Well, how about for those who don't know what Chat GPT is?
So what Chat GPT is basically is it, you can use it for a lot of things. So you basically type into this AI what you want it to do. Like for me, let's say I want to write a caption for this. I'm going to be like, write a title for a podcast episode. And then after that, I'm going to sat down with Edward Tomaloso, talked about his life. Well, I'll just write like a few sentences, press enter, boom. It writes out a perfect title for this podcast. And then if you don't like it, you could be like, write it shorter or write it longer or make it less professional. And you can basically tell it what to do and it'll just do it. And it makes a badass title.
Yeah.
Like I got so many compliments on my last title and I told everybody that I wrote it. And Jordan doesn't believe me because Jordan went to college and he knows a good writer when he sees one and he doesn't see one here.
Yeah. Jordan's back there laughing. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. Just the new tools and technology that we're able to leverage to tell stories and like that's another thing. Just like that whole character. Why are like movies like not doing as good as like Netflix series and seasons, right? It's because it's not all compressed. Like people get to watch it over time.
Yeah,
right?
And then and you get to like binge them, and then when you watch a series, I mean, a series it's a 6-part, usually like 45 minutes. Like how long? That's a lot. Yeah. Versus like an hour and a half. No one wants to sit there and watch a 3-hour movie or like a 2-hour movie because you have to literally sit there. But you'll watch a 45 minutes series, and then it's kind of weird because then you end up staying up till 2 a.m. watching all of them because you just can't stop.
And you're more invested.
Yeah, you're
You're like
invested.
more invested in the character.
And it's more detailed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just think that with technology and stuff like that, it's just has made our lives better and also, like you said, more engaging. Right? You get more engaged with, you get more invested.
Yeah.
With these like series and just the way that it's just kind of laid out. I don't know. I like it though. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
One thing before, because this is obviously a podcast that we like to talk about business, but before we talk about that, you know, I think one of the main things is mindset. And I would say, you know, I remember, you know, I've gone through some rough patches in my adult life, and I had to quit the car business, and I don't know what to do. I was at home. I was depressed. I basically like was just being a freaking loser, and I was looking for a job, and I just saw this job at some furniture store, and I got a job at this furniture store that they sold furniture out of a warehouse. They sold mattresses, right?
Yeah.
And it was with this guy named Tony, which still exists to this day. He's on Main Street, and I think he still has a slow one, and I think he still has I think I still see the Lompoc one. He didn't own it at the time. He was one of the managers. The guy that owned it was Ben, but Ben and Tony would always talk about. They would always talk weird to me. You know, this is like 2009, maybe 2010.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
And they always talked weird to me, like, and I was like, why do they? I would be like, hey, why do you guys talk like that? You know, you guys talk kind of like different than everybody else. You know, this is pre-Instagram or maybe early Instagram. You know, it was kind of like nobody really talked about, you know, things like about, you know, the way you think and the way and how you think comes into fruition into your life, and how a lot of things that you have going on in your head are just like stories made up. You know, if I would ever say anything negative, they would be like, that's just a story. That's just a rule you made up. You know, and I would always ask them like, what the heck? And then how did I know that you were a part of that?
Dang. That's like way back. I don't know.
Because me and Van, because then I told Van about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I work with these guys. I don't know. They just kind of talk different. They have like they think different. I didn't really know how to explain it. I think me and Van went to a thing with him on in Santa Barbara. Tony took us to like this hotel by the beach, and we thought it was kind of cool. And then he was like, man, you know, the guy owner, the guy Ben, he saw I was really interested in it, and he was like, hey, if you're really interested in this, you know, I'll pay for you to go. Like, I'll pay for the ticket for you to go to this thing called Landmark, but you have to get yourself there, and you got to figure out how you're going to stay. Because it was like, 2 days, and it was like 12-hour days. Yeah. So we ended up, I told Van was down to go. We stayed at our friend Caesar's house, which was kind of far, but closer than Santa Maria. And yeah, dude, I went to Landmark, and it just, you know, it definitely changed my perspective on life, and it helped me realize all of the BS that I have, even to this day, going on. And like, what is real and what is just a story that I made up, or a rule that I made up for myself as a child that has basically developed my life.
Yeah. So was it like you had to unpack a lot of things?
Yeah, I had to unpack a lot of things. You know, I had to forgive a lot of people in my past that I held grudges against, especially like my parents. You know, I had a lot of like, I didn't hate my parents, obviously. I love my parents, but I had like anger toward them because I felt like they made selfish decisions, about their own lives that affected my life or my sister's lives, right? Mm. But I came to realize in the process that, you know, they were going through their own things in life, and they did what was right for them at that time. But what you learn is that you make life all about yourself, and you find people to make that right. So, you know, why are we friends? Because we agree on a lot of things, right? So, but obviously I can't tell you my bullshit because you can call me out because you kind of know this stuff. But another friend that doesn't know will make you like, yeah, that wasn't right. Your parents did this, and that. They split up and then, you know? Yeah. But now I know that, you know, we make life all about ourselves. And I need to put myself in their shoes and what they were going through at that time. you know?
Yeah.
And it's not all about me, you know? So, you know, it was kind of cool because, you know, I you know, they make you call people, right? They make you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
They made me call people that I wanted to settle things with, and they make you say you're sorry. I'm sorry for holding a grudge against you all my life.
But then you realize why it's holding you back.
Yeah, and you realize. And then it's crazy because me and my dad's not a very emotional guy or like a guy that likes to have conversations, you know? He's just like whatever, just move on type of guy. And, you know, I went and told him, I called him and, you know, told him that I was sorry for, you know, being mad at him all this time and and, you know, it changed our relationship. You know?
Yeah.
We got cool. Because it was like this weird energy we had between each other that was like unspoken of. And it's not like he disliked me or I disliked him, but I had like a thing against him. And I feel like once I told him that, and I didn't make him bad, I didn't make him wrong, I told him that I was sorry. And I called a few other people.
Yeah, and for the longest time, it was like things that you didn't know that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? It's like your blind spot.
Yeah. It wasn't my blind spot.
Yeah.
And it's weird because even to this day, I know this little mic's on. Even to this day, I know the specific day or the specific moment that like basically just, you know, structure my life. Like why I always feel like I'm not good enough. I know why. You know, and I know that moment had nothing to do with me. You know, there was just people living their lives and I made it all about myself. And I made up that rule that I'm not good enough. And I lived my whole life not being good enough.
Yeah.
Or thinking I'm not good enough. And living by that. And finding things throughout my life to reinforce that idea about myself.
It's like an operating system.
Yep.
And
You
you have
don't
like
even know it's
no
working.
no control.
No control.
Yeah.
And you just find, oh, it didn't work. Oh, that didn't happen. I didn't beat Ed at the Cesar Chavez thing because I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. And it reinforced that belief over
you're
and
not good
over.
enough.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Crazy.
So what was your experience with that? And how did that, you know, change your life? Because I feel like prior to that, you know, you also had like struggles, I think, personally.
Oh yeah.
Because from the Ed I know now to the Ed I knew in school, always cool, but was a different person.
A little off. Yeah.
You know, little mad at the world sometimes too, I think, you know, I was too, you know?
Yeah.
So how did you come across Landmark and how did you, how did it change you? And obviously this has to do with business.
Yeah.
Because business is mindset and getting out of
Yeah.
your own way.
Being able to separate yourself from separate what's actually happening versus the story that you're telling yourself of, you know, what's happening.
What was me basically.
Yeah. And it's really like just separating those two things, like the real and the unreal.
Yeah.
But so yeah, around that time, I was in student government at Allen Hancock College. And that was still when I was like on this like personal development kick.
Yeah.
And then one of the ladies, one of the counselors was like, I think you'd really benefit from this. And then she took me to kind of like what Tony took you to. And we just happened to do it at the same time, or
No, you already
I already went through it.
You already had done it.
Yeah, so it's a pretty pricey seminar.
Yeah.
And it's multiple days. Like you're only focused in on that, and they make what are called distinctions, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like definitions, and you start to understand those kind of a big lens, and then you start to like really start to break down like personal things in your life.
Yeah.
But basically, how did I get into it, or what are the biggest things that I've gotten out of it?
Yeah. Well, I guess we know how you got into it now, but I mean, how do you feel like that if it affected your life? Like, how did it change your life from that point?
The biggest thing was the ability to reset and reinvent.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to take account of thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Because, okay, so a really big distinction that they made on this whole seminar was the fact that all ideas are just your neuro chemistry going on. Like all these brain cells that we got, they're just firing.
Yeah.
They're just firing. And then you get an idea, and it could be empowering or not empowering, but then you get to ask yourself, you know, is this a serving idea for me.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then you can just cut it off. Like, oh no, that's not a good, like you can kind of zero yourself out. Like, okay, back to normal. What else is something that I can think about? Right. It's really being an accountant over your own ideas. And then they're not even your ideas. Right. So sometimes you'll get this random idea and you like really believe in it. And then all of a sudden, you're attached to it, like hardcore. Right. And then somebody, you let it out and somebody like bashes the idea. And then like now it's like totally war. Right.
Yeah.
But then you just stop for a moment and you're like, that was just an idea. Like, it's not my idea. It's like, it's not me. Like, cause when you let an idea out, into the public and it like doesn't get the reception that you want, you feel personally attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not really your idea.
It was just these neurons firing in my brain and I get them all the time. And, you can cut one off really easy or,
just think of something else.
When it's less personal, it's a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a big thing for business is, don't make things personal.
Which is hard for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for me when they talk about like our work, like our videos and stuff, because it's like, to me, it's like, which it's like one of those things I probably should go back to Landmark, but I do think of things like that because I think like, like this is like our art, like, it's not like we're here just like filing paperwork and you're like, oh, you suck at filing paperwork. Well, I don't really care. It's not my passion. I'm just filing paperwork, but it's like when we're over here doing something that we're passionate about, and someone's like, oh, that video sucked. I don't think they're taking into consideration, you kind of put your heart into it. You try to make it nice. And so that's like one of the things that I struggle with when I take things personal. I'm like, oh, I want to freaking punch this guy.
I get it.
But
you're spending a lot of time and
you spend time on it. You care about it. And,
it's your baby.
Yeah, it's your baby.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, what you learn in Landmark is that I think was probably most empowering to me was, that life is just life and life just happens and life is just a series of events and that we are meaning-making machines.
Yeah, everything is empty and meaningless.
Yeah. It's so crazy when they tell you that, huh?
Dude, that hurts when you first hear it. Like everything is empty and meaningless. But it's empowering too because like you get to put the meaning on it. Like what does that mean? Like, okay, a good example was like, okay, you're a single dude and then you're like calling this girl and she's like not answering.
Yeah.
Then like all these stories in your head can come out like, oh man, she's not into me. She could be out doing something else.
Talking to some other guy.
But in reality, like maybe she was just,
busy.
Yeah. Doing gardening or something.
Yeah.
And like you came up with all these stories.
You made up the meaning to it.
Exactly. So like in life, like something happens, then you get to choose what meaning you want to put onto it. And it's your choice to choose something that's empowering or something that's, going to keep you baseline.
Yeah.
So that was a really big distinction too.
Yeah. And I think it definitely helps out with business, having, gone through Landmark and just kind of be able to like distinct, like just different things like that. Like, that life is just life. Cause a lot of things, obviously we're talking about, you built a YouTube channel and had this many views, this and that. And we're seeing your wins. But how many losses did you have during that time, and how many videos did you make that didn't hit, and probably a lot in the beginning, and you get to decide like how that affects you. It's like you don't have to, you get to just like that's what I like about life is just empty meaning. Life is just a series of events. Like you get to decide if that is something that's like a big effect on your life or not. Because you make up the meaning to it, and that's how I do a business too. If a customer is ever like angry at us, or somebody does something to us, I always try to put myself in their shoes and what are they going through in life and how do they feel? Maybe it has nothing to do with me. It probably doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm just the person that walked up at that time. And just like, I don't know. I call Van a lot, cause he's been through it and, and he has rackets going on in his mind too. And I do too. And sometimes it's good to call somebody that's kind of been through that cause they can snap you out of it and be like, bro, it's just a story you made up in your head.
Yeah, it's so powerful when somebody's looking from the outside and is okay with verbalizing, telling somebody how it really is.
Yeah, and especially in that manner, like, hey, you're fucking complaining and you're calling him because you want him to reinforce your negativity, which most friends would do. But then he's like, bro, it's just a story, that you have going on in your head, and it's just. It's just BS. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you use Landmark a lot in your daily life, or is it, or you're kind of like me? I kind of like, I know it, but sometimes I forget, that I'm saying these certain things, or I'm like, I can go on a whole few weeks or a month of like, in my rackets or in these stories that I made up, and then after a while I'm like, fuck, this is all freaking bullshit.
Yeah.
No one's gonna fire me. It's just some story I made up to reinforce the fact that I don't feel like I'm good enough.
Yeah, it could be it.
Could be it.
Yeah.
I'd rather think that than.
So you're like, yeah, kind of, it's like autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I go on autopilot and I'm like, before, and I'm like, wow, I've been negative. Or in my mind, I've been negative to myself, But it's kind of cool because then you can always like recalibrate. And before we get off of this, one thing that I do want to talk about is that when you did go through it before me, and you were already talking in these ways before I knew what it was, but you would always talk to me about creating new possibilities.
Yep.
And you're always talking to me about reinventing yourself, and you would tell me what you would want. And at that time, if I would have asked anybody in my close circle of family what they thought about me, they would have been like, Robert's a fucking loser. Can't keep a freaking job. And he's not a man of his word. It's not really like, they wouldn't say anything really positive about me.
Yeah.
But once I went to Landmark and I would talk to you and this and that, and I started thinking, I'm going to create a new possibility. I'm going to change the way I am. And with time, people will start to realize that I'm this person.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it worked.
Yeah, man.
Ask my parents and my sisters what they think about me. Ask my friends.
Yeah. Now they speak highly.
They speak highly of me now.
Yeah.
But I did that.
Yeah. You set an intention. So that's another thing is intention or possibilities. Like, gosh, like endless possibilities right now.
Yeah.
Like you can literally think of something and then, I don't know, the word manifest comes, but you can really like create it.
Yeah. You just
really
work at it. Like you just create the person in your mind and then you just figure, okay, well, what did that person do? And you have to break old habits, obviously. And it's not overnight either. It takes a long time because people would like have a lot of doubt and then, you have to kind of prove yourself. But after a while, they're like, okay, well, I guess he's doing pretty good. So we'll give him the respect he wants.
Yeah.
So you worked here at Honda. We're in the new building.
I never worked in this.
Never worked here.
Building.
This is pretty nice.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So you worked at Honda, and you had a successful YouTube channel that I'm sure you made income from.
Yep.
Right? Obviously, and you made income from selling cars at your job. Most people would have been like, why are you going to stop being the Honda man? Why did you stop being the Honda man?
Dang. Yeah.
Because you had it had momentum.
It was nice. It was really good. COVID hit.
Yeah.
So at that time, I bought a place in 2015.
Yep.
Then I ended up, living there. And then I met my girlfriend, now wife. We found renters to stay at our house, which now is still a rental. And then, fortunately, I was able to actually stay with mom and dad, and they let us stay there so we could pay cash for our wedding. That was like the ultimate goal. We didn't want to be in debt when it came to weddings.
You had a nice wedding,
and
too.
we were not like, I know you guys came, the whole Honda, like the Honda family came. That was awesome. Beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Like, not to go on a tangent, but it's beautiful to have somebody that you've known since 7th grade, be there with you celebrating like this awesome moment.
It was cool, dude. Honestly, it was dope.
But that does tie into like why I kind of like transitioned into this is I ended up Fabian was like, oh dude, you're living with kind of elderly people, you don't want to put them at risk by continuing to work and do this, so they furloughed me for a while. And then when I came back, I was out of sales. I went into the BDC department.
Oh yeah.
Where I got to manage and help the salespeople. So now they have like a whole group of salespeople that only focus on like setting appointments, answering questions, and things like that. So it really streamlines the online shopping experience. So if you go onto like their website and you're shopping for a car, you're going to deal with one of these people via email, via phone, all that. So they wanted me to help with that. So I helped with that for a few years. I did 2 years, like 2021 and 2022 was all internet sales. But as I was doing that, I got to fish a lot more, and I've actually had a fishing channel since 2013.
Oh, okay.
It's an old channel.
Yeah.
And after a while, I started to turn that into like a another like business, right?
Yeah.
Because like from that, I'm using lures and other things that companies are starting to sell their products more because people are watching the videos of me using it on camera on episodes. So that's been going on kind of in the background. It was kind of my little side hustle to the main hustle to the other side. It was like kind of not the forefront at all.
Yeah.
So COVID hit though, and I got furloughed. So I was fishing a lot more, recording a lot more.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, now wife, all she eats is fish.
Oh,
She's
nice.
a pescatarian. She doesn't eat chicken, beef, pork, nothing.
Yeah.
So
it was like perfect.
Yeah.
Free food.
And I grew up doing that. My dad taught me how. So I'm like catching this fish. And what's beautiful about the Central Coast is we have species that you can catch here that you can't catch anywhere else in the country.
Oh, dang.
So the competition is very low. Like if you were to search how to catch barred surf perch, you're going to find my videos.
Yeah.
Because you can't do that in Idaho. You can't do that in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right. You can catch bass and trout everywhere along the country. So if you made videos on that, you wouldn't be able to be searched.
Yeah, because they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So the turning point was really like 2017-ish, where the fishing channel really started to grow and the followership started to grow there too. And so after 2022, that channel has already started to get established, and big things have been starting to happen in the fishing industry, especially after COVID, because there's lockdowns and now like outdoor activities were the only things that you can do. So all these people were being introduced to the sport of fishing.
Yeah.
And then when you're trying to learn a new skill, where's the best place to look at it is YouTube.
Yep.
So I was pretty prime to kind of make that leap, but it was just so kind of far away. Between like the Honda income and the fishing income.
Yeah.
But that gap continued to get closer and closer and closer to where it did start to make sense. And then the free time started to be a part of the equation to where it's like, you know what, like to be able to sacrifice this and jump into having more free time and the ability to give 100% focus to something that I mean, I loved the car sales and I loved the environment, but like to be able to do like something that like I feel like I can do until I'm 80, 90 years old.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's just, it's like a dream come true that I get to actually take a hobby for most people and build a business around it.
Yeah.
So basically like the structure of the business is I do have like my episodes that generate ad revenue through YouTube, and then also the new fishing store that I just opened up online, and it's all online. So I don't have like a brick and mortar, but I'm able to sell lures and things, but that's what happened. That's how I ended up transitioning out of car sales and into the whole fishing life. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's cool that you're always able to figure that kind of stuff out. You know, like I feel like that's always kind of been like your thing. Like, you know, like you'll figure out how to become an affiliate. Or I remember you were talking about Amazon affiliates back when no one even knew what really that was. You know, so it's kind of cool that you're always figuring out how to have different sources of income. Because I mean, I don't know what YouTube pays you, but you know, I'm sure having the online store helps a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because people are gonna buy the products, and why don't you should get a cut, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so and so company might not have you as an ambassador, but you kind of are because they're buying through your affiliate link, right? Mm-hmm. So you get a kickback from that for basically talking about their product. Do you have a lot of companies sending you products, and do they pay you by sending you products and be like, here, you can keep it, or here's some money, or here's a little bit of both?
There are both. Yeah. There's definitely both. Where they'll do a revenue split of if they use your code.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's one of them. And then another one is, I mean, it gets to the point where I want to become a distributor. So I got my resale license.
Yeah.
So I've reached out to companies that I've been using their products for a while. Yeah. And then I'll say, hey, can I be part of the retail program where I can buy at wholesale and then just be a distributor of sorts. So that's where it's a bigger chunk of the revenue at that point.
Yeah. And what, so how long have you been full-time fishing, YouTube business?
It was March of 2022.
So
about what?
a little over a year now, right?
Yeah, over a year.
And and I know you're very like goal oriented. What is your where do you see yourself in 5 years, like from this point?
5 years.
Do you have like a goal, like, hey, or what was it from the day you quit your job? This is my 5 year mark. Here's my 10 year mark. Like, what did you just more fishing, or did you want to have? I guess you're already kind of starting your online store. Is there any goals that you had that you have attained or you're on track to attaining?
Retire my wife.
Right,
that's a big one.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. That'd be a really big like milestone.
And she's like she like goes with you, right? Like she's kind of about it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Shelby has to work, but
yeah.
You know, because she's the boss where she works.
Yeah.
You know, so she can't go with you all the time, but she's like down to go with you, huh?
Yeah, especially since we're hunting food. Like
Dude,
that's the big thing. So it's cool. Like kind of little tangent, but when we first met, she was all excited over cooking salmon from Costco, right?
Yeah.
And it's like prepackaged. I'm just like looking at it. It's not that fresh, but okay, she's all into it, right?
Yeah.
But now, like after like being together for I don't know 7 years now, she sees that the difference between like store bought fish and then fish that we can like catch fresh in our local waters that was swimming around 2 days ago and never been frozen and properly taken care of, because when you're catching a bunch of fish in big quantities, it's hard to make sure that you treat them the right way and then you get the best product at the end.
They're not spoiled or
exactly. Or one little known fact is that not a lot of people know is blood ruins the meat, right? So you want to bleed them out. You want to get rid of all their fluids as much as possible, pull that out of the meat, because that's really where the fishy flavor is from the blood and the bloodline on the fish. Yeah. So she's been able to watch me like process the fish, make some of the best ceviche she's ever had in her life, or making some good blackened like trout or other recipes that she's seen.
Yeah.
But that's where
you're like
she's really supportive.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying is
she's like she loves fish and she gets to eat some bomb fish meals.
And really, she's like the real reason. And I don't tell her this enough, or I don't talk about it enough. But she's like a big driver to the reason I was able to make that transition.
Yeah.
She's super supportive in that in so many ways. Where like I just really freaked out. I was freaking out that it was I knew the time was coming.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like a year and a half, 2 years away. But we were able to really button down and look at how things were going to look to make this happen. And but that was the nice thing, is we had good dialogue, and I think that's one of the most important things, especially if you're in business for yourself and you have a significant other, that you have to make that work. You have to have that conversation, even if it's hard. But she was really like, no, you need to do it. I'm like, okay,
that's good, dude.
Right, I guess.
Yeah. And now you guys are living the life. And also too, you're, cause no disrespect to the car business, but car business takes a lot of time of your life, especially weekends, And so, she gets to enjoy more, and you also get to enjoy more time with her, get to do weekend stuff, get to go on, trips, and, so, car business has it's rewarding in a lot of ways, but also, it's you're not going to make money unless you're here hustling. You got to hustle, it's not easy. Selling cars is a hard job, and so that's, for me personally, probably one of the biggest benefits is just having more time, and now you have more time.
Yeah. That was the original, not contract, but the agreement. The agreement is, all right, Edward, you can fish, you can edit, you can do all fishing business Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
But weekends are for my wife.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all. That's how it's set up. But it's not like I can't find a loophole, but like sometimes I have to go out on a Saturday. But most of the time it's like we're gonna do what you want. We'll do what you want on the weekends. We'll go wine tasting. We'll go see your family. We'll go hang out with my family. Do family stuff on the weekends. But then I mean, just how crazy is that though? That is crazy.
It's crazy because it's just for whoever's listening, man, it's possible.
Yeah.
And does it. It's doing it.
But that's a big thing too, is just like if somebody can do it, like I think your primo was saying that yesterday.
Yeah.
Like if he can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
Right. So there is
Just
like,
teach me and
Yeah.
I'll do it. That's
Yeah.
what he said, I think.
so that's a huge takeaway for those who like have a certain thing that they want to do. Like even if everyone else would say that it's silly, like, oh, that's never going to work. Find one person who's doing it and doing it successfully. And
Yeah.
that alone is proof that it's possible.
Yeah.
And I do have friends. I have friends that, you know, have like 1 million subscribers on YouTube for a fishing channel. I got another guy who like right before I made that jump, he like actually talked to my wife and I for like 30, 40 minutes. Like, and he fishes full time and makes YouTube videos on fishing.
Yeah.
And he did it like about 2 years before I did. But he had a conversation with my wife and I, and that really just opened both of our eyes. Like, man, it's totally possible. These are
like,
the
it can be
steps that
done.
have to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's legit. That's like that to me would be like and I'm gonna work on it now, but that would be like a ultimate thing for me too. You know, to be able to just sit down and, you know, make videos and get paid and, you know, be able to make some ad revenue and different stuff like that. You know, like you told me a long time ago, you know, it's good to get paid or people see your work while you sleep. The thing that I have now is in the situation that I'm in, which is a great situation. I would have never even dreamt to be in the spot that I am now, but it still takes me. Or it still well, I mean, it's a little bit different because I have people that work with me. But at the end of the day, it still does take some effort from myself for us to be able to make money, right? But I think like, you know, and obviously you put in effort too, but you do have videos that you are done and finished with that are still bringing in views.
Yeah.
You know? And so if I can make a super dope video for, you know, Silence Ambulance, which we just did, and we got paid for it, I mean, unless they come back and do more work with us, or we get a lead from another ambulance company, but from that particular video, we're never gonna get paid again. You know, so I think about that all the time too. It's like, you know, how do we basically make compounding income to where, you know, not that I want to be, you know, super rich, but I'm like, you know, how do we make more of our time and then work on things that we are passionate about?
Yeah, where it's sustainable.
And that's like my main thing here is like, you know, just because you own your own business doesn't mean you like to do everything that you do. You know, there's a lot of things that we don't like to do, but we need to bring in income to the business so we can all get paid. So I would like to be able to set my business up in a certain way to where we have income and we're able to almost like every project is like this passion project, you know?
Yeah.
Versus like we're just like an assembly line. Obviously we try to put out a great product and we want to be better than everybody else, but doesn't mean we're always like passionate about the thing that we're shooting and filming and editing, you know? So I feel like if I could do a good job at it and I could stick with it, because consistency is king, right? Not motivation. I feel like that could maybe turn into something that we could kind of turn into like, okay, well, we have income to pay people to be on payroll, but because we have that, we can also now concentrate on things that we're more passionate about as a team.
But real quick, yeah, that's like I just from the outside looking at what you're doing. I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate like what you've got going right now with like, yeah, you have employees, you have you're really by the books, you know, like that's where we're different. Like, you know, you have a lot like to account for.
Yeah,
like, that's huge. You have software just on your calendar.
Yeah,
like, and how each product is moving or production. Each one of your videos is like super, I guess, like looked at like in the process.
We're just trying to. I mean, I think that's what I learned from the dealerships, especially these dealerships, this ownership group, and these general managers is it's all about processes, you know. And I feel like a lot of the times that I find that we struggle in things is if we don't have a process for it. So, but then to find the right process is hard too, because is it the right process, you know? So, you know, we have. There's a lot to worry about.
Yeah, I know. When I'm thinking about
my
process,
pay taxes and stuff.
My process is so like not like that anymore.
Yeah,
it's totally changed.
If it works for you,
Yeah,
it
works.
Well,
it works.
you know what they always say? You have a process. You
Yeah.
might have not like written it down, or it's not known by people, but everybody has a process.
Yeah.
You have a process, but I feel like there's multiple people here, so we all got to be on the same page of what the process is.
And it's more predictable stuff that you're doing, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
very predictable. Yeah,
like you know what cars need to be there.
Yeah.
You know who's going to be there. Like people are like on a schedule. I mean, for me, I can't tell a fish to be there to get caught.
No.
Right? I can't. I like the fishing might suck that day, and I don't even have. I just went on a trip all the way down to Long Beach, and it was one of the sponsors, one of the fishing companies, and the fishing was totally like nothing was biting.
It was not good.
So it's like that didn't really turn into much. I still have all the footage, but it's like now that's the challenge. What do I do with it? But
yeah, it's like, what do you make? What am I making a video of? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't catch anything.
yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna put that out.
Well, I
so,
guess it's kind of
yeah.
cool. I'm like, hey, you see how much I fish, and not every day is a good day, So
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
true.
It could be turned into something. Sorry, my things.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, maybe a little snippet, something. Hey, like,
Yeah, something good came out of that. Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
you could probably make something because, you struggle too.
Yeah,
Like there's other fishermen go out there. I didn't catch anything. Oh, Ed went out and didn't catch. Maybe it's not a 30-minute video, but maybe it's a little 5-minute.
I think that was more a personal thing because it was crazy because like on that same trip was like people that I grew up watching Saturday mornings.
Oh,
like
shit.
like these are like people that like as a kid growing up, like imagine fishing with or like getting to spend time with somebody that you've like watched growing up.
Yeah.
That was huge.
You
So-
get to like see him in person.
Yeah.
Like it's a real person.
yeah. So now they're not only like people that I really looked up to. They're almost like colleagues.
Oh
If
yeah.
you think about it, it's like, wow, yeah, actually we're working together now. It's not just like somebody I'm looking up to.
That's pretty cool.
So that was really cool. So that's that trip down in Long Beach. But
It was legit.
yeah, man, it was good. Now, what about you though? What's your 5-year like?
Well, I'm at the point, or not really at a point, but I think I'm just trying to figure out how to get people what they want. Like I talk to the people that work with me, and I try to figure out what is it that they want, because I feel like, and this, you help people get what they want, you'll get what you want, and I'm trying to make it. If we never grew and we just stayed the same, I personally, I mean, obviously I want more, but I personally would be okay. Like I make a good living for myself and my family, and we live we're not rich, but we live a pretty good life. But it's like I think I would be happy to see one of my guys drive up in a brand new car that they always wanted to buy. Or I think it would be dope to like know that one of the guys that works with me just bought a brand new house. Like how badass would that be?
Yeah.
But like, bro, like, yeah, they put in work and they're here to help the cause, but I created that.
That's beautiful.
That's like,
Yeah.
that's what like motivates me to be like, so how do I do that?
Yeah. But actually being clear on the vision of the outcome.
Yeah.
Like being so clear on the outcome of that,
Like that to me is cool.
the steps will show up.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I always think like, I get asked that too. Like, oh, I'm like, if I can help Jordan by create the space where he can create the income to buy himself the car that he wants, or the car he wants for his wife, or a house that he wants, right? That would be like so, like I would just think that's so dope. But if he can do that for himself through here, what could I do? Like if I can create a space where he can make an income to do that and live the life that he likes and this and that's also going to benefit me too.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm been more concentrating on how can I figure out a way to make their lives better? And in turn, obviously my life's going to get better as a byproduct.
Yeah. That's definitely playing like a larger game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. That's like, I don't know when that's going to happen. Maybe I should put a time on it.
Yeah. Well, within the 5 years. That sounds good. That sounds
I'm
good.
like, I've been working on this for 40 years. But that's what I think about now. Because there's things I want in business. Like, hey, obviously we have a dope space up here.
Mm-hmm.
But I would want like a warehouse that we had like, a psych
film
wall and, that's built out that maybe has a own podcast area, which is all cool stuff. But if I can help Jordan get what he wants and I can help Andres get what he wants, then I will get what I want.
Yeah.
and that's what I want.
Yep.
But I don't think that would be as rewarding feeling wise as it would to see, you know, them like living good and like having the things that they want.
Wow.
That's my goal.
That's huge, dude. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Lamborghini can wait. No,
And you're hanging out with like the right people too, and that's a big part of it. You know, you're hanging out with people who have built that for other people. I mean, shoot. I mean, I bought my house because of the
like how good is it? How good does these guys think they feel like all these guys driving a brand new Hondas? Like Hondas ain't cheap no more.
Yeah,
like some guys have SIs.
Yeah,
some guys have Type R's.
Yeah,
Type R is like freaking what? I don't know how much it is before markup, but it's
mid 40s.
Mid 40s, 50 grand. Bro, that's expensive. That's an expensive car, dude. That's a fat payment. And there's guys, sales guys that work here, driving those things. So, you know, I think that's my goal.
Yeah,
I have things that I want personally, but like real vision wise, like what I really want, what I think that would make me feel like, just like a lot like grateful is that I could help people provide for themselves or their families, or I don't know. I just think it would be cool.
Yeah.
And I want to create a space, which I personally do think is hard in our area, but I do want to create a place where people want to work. I want people to like, I want to have a small team, but I want people to want to work here. Or people, obviously the people that work here, I think they want to work here. I don't know, they're still here. But outside people, you know, people that apply, like, wow, how do I get a job there? Like, I want this to be like a desirable place to work.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Because like,
and what better medium than video? But anyway, I get.
That's like another thing I have to.
And I love Santa Maria.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because like especially growing up, like you hear all these kids complain, oh, there's nothing to do here, nothing to do here. But I love this town, man.
I would never
love
move.
it.
I know people that move. I'm like, you guys are crazy. I'll never move.
The best climate, like
stuff I drive around too, and I'm just like, these are my streets, dude.
Yeah, and
like imagine moving to like Ventura. Like it's not that Ventura's bad, but it's like they're all strange streets. Like I don't know. Like I feel at home here, dude.
It's not hard. It's not hard to drive around either.
No.
101 super easy. Like I mean I just feel like immense pride, like being here and living here, and
people want to live here,
not being distracted and moving out. Like when I was like in my 20s or anything.
Yeah,
freaking so happy that things worked out the way that they did, and we have the people in our lives and it's just nostalgic, like you said. Like you go around these streets and it's like, dude,
you have a story for everywhere.
For
everything here, and I don't know. I think it's a great place to raise a family. I think the weather is legit. There's places that there's definitely a lot of places in here you could buy a nice home. You're definitely gonna spend some money, but I think it's like I don't know. I love this town. So with all that, Ed, is there any advice you would give to somebody that wants to venture out on their own? What advice would you give them? Like, hey, I have a job. I have an idea, whether it's kind of all relative, but whether it's online or not, what was some advice you would give them? Like, what struggles are they going to see? Should they just do it? Is it harder when you think about it than versus what it's really like?
Man, like who are these people?
I would say just anybody, like someone that's like, hey, I want to start a business, and what would you tell me? Like, would you tell them not, just keep going, keep pushing? Yeah,
it's kind of stereotypical, but you want to start it on the side. You just got to grow it. Like it's wherever your attention grows or goes and energy flows, like it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger. So like kind of like the whole fishing thing, like on the side, like my story's like it fits it to the T. I mean, I was working at the car dealership and just fishing on the side, and just over time, it wasn't overnight ever. My fishing channel started in like 2013, but
that's 10 years now.
Yeah, 10 years ago. So 10-year mark. Yeah, so it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I guess it depends on what you're doing. I mean, I'm sure if somebody wanted to venture out, maybe he's in a 9-to-5 right now, it really depends on what niche you're in. If you're looking at maybe the financial space, that's probably going to move a bit faster. Yeah. I mean, mine's like recreational and everyone does it. So, I mean, that's probably also why it took so long. And also the skills that it took to develop to get me where I am now. Because like back in 2013, I was just editing like small, like just clips of catching one fish. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like a 3-minute video, but now I'm doing full 20, 30-minute episodes sometimes that people can watch and be entertained and educated when it comes to fishing too.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn along the way, right? And I really think that, I mean, even from what we were talking about earlier, is just in the repetition is where you're going to get it, where you're going to learn and where you're going to become better. And I think it's like looking at your foundation, like what did you learn yesterday that you could apply today?
Yeah.
And streamline and create a process, I think is a big thing. Like when you do something over and over, you're going to find things that are slowing down that process. You're going to find the bottlenecks and you just eliminate those. Okay, like I need to stop this because it's slowing down the process. And learning about yourself, being more introspective, I think is a big thing too.
Yeah.
Like analyzing, like, why do I think like that? You know, or, you know, like what are my hangups? Not just in the process, but what are my hangups?
What am I telling myself that's holding myself back? Yeah.
And then where can I cut myself slack?
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you're just like so hard on yourself. You're your biggest critic, but just, you know, tell yourself to relax, breathe. Like, you know, you'll be all right. I think.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Especially as business owners, it's like, you can really be hard on yourself.
And there's no roadmap, so you're not really sure if you're doing the right thing.
Exactly. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Why? Where'd you see that one?
I think it all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know what the right decision is, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just winging it out here. I think it's worked. It's kind of worked so far.
Yeah.
I guess it's worked more than it's not. So I guess I've made progress because I've fucked up a lot of things, but then I've done some things right. So I feel like I've probably done more right than wrong. But I mean, I don't know. I always like, you know, how many people have I, you know, hired, you know, like not a lot, but still like, you know, it's like every time I hire somebody and after a few months, I'm like, oh, that wasn't a good hire, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like no roadmap and I'm just kind of like winging it. So I'm like, oh, he seems cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously I figured out the other day, I need to create a new process on some of my hiring stuff, but
well, hold on. I guess to summarize that, like, I mean, that idea brought me to this one. Like, this is a big one that I really learned was, you know, how people say ready, aim, fire.
yeah.
It's ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
It's really, that's the right way.
Yeah.
You get ready, you shoot, and whether you hit the target or you not, if you hit the target, great.
Yeah.
But if you missed, now you know how to adjust. So your next shot, you hit the target.
Yeah.
Ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
That's what
Ready,
you gotta,
fire, aim. I like that.
That's what
we
do.
should name the podcast episode. Ready,
Ready,
fire, aim.
Yes.
Bro, that's good. Okay, one more thing, because I just thought about it. Okay, so when you first started fishing, I know you fished throughout your life. You started a channel in 2013. A lot of things that I know that people don't start a business is because they feel like let's say someone wants to start a videography business and then they know more than me about videos and lighting and all this and that. But they always have this fear like, oh, I don't know enough and this and that. But there's always someone else starting and they know less than you. Because I did. I didn't know a lot about what I do. Yeah. I just fucking said, fuck, I'm going to start a business. So did you have that when you first started off where you're like, dude, I don't know. I know fishing, but, you know, people know more. I'm putting myself online to be criticized by these other.
Yeah.
So that happened to you?
Comparing yourself is like
hard.
The robber of joy. And, you know, it's very discouraging when you compare yourself to people who are established and all of that. So, yeah, it's just something that you got to wrestle with.
Yeah, and not compare yourself. Just do your best. It's hard, but.
Yeah, and you're the only one that you should compare yourself to. Like, how was I yesterday?
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of people.
As long as you're moving forward.
It holds themselves back in life because they'll never do it because they're afraid of comparison.
Yeah.
Dang.
Or paralysis.
By analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. So anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up?
Man, dude, it's been good to be on this journey with you. Like,
good.
I think that, like, a lot of happiness, especially as you get older, is like how many friends that you've had for a long time. There's actual studies, like Harvard has done studies on like older people, like, and a big part of it has been the relationships that they have and that people that are still around when you get into an older age, so you can share stories and things like that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons. I think what we do is so powerful with like video and things like that. People get to see you. Is the barrier to meet you is way lower. So you do have an opportunity to make friends. And I think one of my biggest sayings that I hold on to is just my best friends are out there. I just haven't met them yet.
Dang, that was legit. All right,
Yeah,
Ed.
homie.
Thank you, man,
This was
for
fun.
being a part of this, and hopefully I can have you on more often, and we can talk about specific things. Obviously, this is kind of like a gist of your life and how you came to this point, and but yeah, I'm excited, man. Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, we covered a little bit of everything.
Covered over everything. Yeah, I'm not gonna film you on a boat, by the way, because I will get seasick. But all right, man.
One
Well,
of these days.
thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep.
Edward Tomoso, thank you.
Yep.
And we out.
We'll catch you later.